I just want to say thank you so much for showing up today, Royal. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Before we get started with any interview today, I do want to dive a little bit deeper into the stylistic choices that you chose.
There are choices
today.
that I chose.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that sums it up pretty well. Today I am wearing my NASCAR bomber jacket that my boyfriend in 2020 told me looked dated, which it is because it was made in the 80s.
Which he just meant vintage.
Which in a way it could be vintage. I'm wearing a sheer striped black top that I've been beating the hell out of for the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And my hair has grown.
And we could just leave it there.
See, you're such a shady fucking bitch.
I'm kidding. Okay, I do think that your hair honestly looks very, very good.
I feel horrible.
No, do not feel horrible, Joe, because the thing is, Royal, because it like is giving, it's like shag mullet.
That's the vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's going well with your dated jacket.
And then and
your beat eyes.
My 90s grunge eyeliner is what I'm considering it.
Yeah.
You did say I looked like I'm dead.
Well, I meant that.
You said it in a joking tone, but was it a joke?
Well, I did also want like, are you indulging in drugs?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've actually never been more sober in my entire life. Vitamins.
Vitamins. You are looking healthy.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, I'm, again, very excited to have you on today. We have a lot to discuss, and I think a lot of the listeners have been wondering just who is Royal and how they came to be.
Wow, Royal is non-binary.
Well, I didn't want to gender Royal. I have no idea.
I think that Royal actually is non-binary now that we think about it. This has been kind of a long await. Well, hold on.
Good children.
It's like
sometimes you need a month off to get the harmonies perfect.
Because I think that we've learned a lot. I feel like I was going up and up and up and up usually.
Yeah, always.
And I'm choosing to scale back a little bit this year and in how I approach the vocal song.
Do you think that's just how you approach vocal song, or do you think that you're learning how to scale back in general?
In general, I think it might be a year of scaling back.
That's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Of course. So now that we have you here, Royal.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Good Children, the podcast where hosts Joe Hedges
and Andrew Muscarella
reflect on our 23 years of friendship,
growing up in the late 2000s, early 2010s,
and all of the nostalgia,
trauma,
and alter egos that go along with it.
All right. The moment we've all been waiting for, especially me, because I can't wait to get the questions out. And let me just say, the way that this episode is going to end is, I think it could win an award.
I have a feeling this is our Peabody.
I think this could be our Peabody.
I think Boys State is our Nobel Peace Prize.
Correct.
And Who Drank at My 17th Birthday Party Part 2 is our Peabody.
Yes. Correct.
So just as a glimmer of what's ahead, we've gotten some requests for a Royal episode. I'll happily oblige.
Just like twist my arm.
And also, I set Andrew off with a task as I left for my trip to get to the bottom of the mystery of my 17th birthday party. For those unacquainted, I would probably revisit that episode before you listen to this one.
And all I have to say is when Joe gives me a task to this magnitude,
you take it seriously.
I'm taking it seriously. And regardless if I'm sick to my stomach, that I have to reach out to people I'm still friends with to ask them about statements about his 17th birthday. It honestly put it into perspective, though, when I was doing it. I was like, what are we doing? I'm like, I'm asking for statements, but then also have to clarify to say, like, don't even worry. Like, if it was you, we're not upset at this point. Like, I just need to clarify.
Well, I would hope everyone would know we're not upset at this point. At this point, it's just a matter of, like, we want to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, we're investigators.
I'm desperate to know.
It's true crime.
It is. I mean, it was a crime and it is true.
Well, and I have some information that I think is going to shock you as well.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes.
This also feels like a Housewives reunion.
I did have someone fess up to it, but in a way that they weren't sure if they were doing it.
So they're
not.
just kind of like panic guessing.
I think that
in the United States court of law, that person would be going to prison for the rest of their lives.
Well,
so.
that person knows who they are, and we might just have to say their name.
Okay.
So, Royal, for the next 50 or so minutes, I want you to feel as comfortable as possible.
I'll try.
As well, I would hope. I want
in my
you
own
to
bedroom.
in your own bedroom, and I guess I should be thanking you for having me here today.
Well, thank you for hosting.
And I think it's been 10 years too long.
It has been.
People have heard from you.
So from Royal.
So I guess going off of that, where have you been?
I guess it's kind of interesting. It's interesting we're doing this episode when we're doing it because yesterday I got a $20 PayPal payment from Redbubble Incorporated to Royal Hegyes. And I was like, hold on a second. Like, I forgot that I have a Redbubble account. And I get paid out like every like quarter from Redbubble. It's always like $20.
Yeah.
It's like people buying stickers. But I went to the account and it's Royal Hegyes. And the bio for the account says like Royal Hegyes, 18 years old, aspiring anything. And I think that about sums it all up. And I'm wearing my wide brimmed Amish hat, my big glasses, and I'm like, I'm sucking
you
in
were
the
sucking
cheeks,
cheek,
and it's like filtered to 10 levels of like grain and grit and light leaks. But it was really, I was like, oh my God, like this actually is like a time capsule of this point in my life. And the designs on the Redbubble. And if you're a real bitch, you had a Redbubble account in high school. Yep. If you're a real bitch, you were designing stickers in high school for strangers to buy on Redbubble.
What were you designing?
And or Society 6. I remember
Society 6.
How could you forget? I actually also have a Society 6 account, which I have to.
I'm sure that I didn't even realize I was purchasing things from your Society 6.
I remember I was doing Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Love.
I had a graphic of Sam and Charlie that said, "We accept the love we think we deserve." I had an infinity sign that said, "Some infinities are greater than other infinities." John Green, The Fault in Our Stars. You
were kind of cashing in.
I was cashing in. I have loved words and I've hated them, but I hope I have made them true, with a silhouette of death. And then Liesel from The Book Thief. People are still buying that one. People are buying hoodies with that on it. Book Thief. Anyway, I feel like Royal, I don't think Royal like has ever left my body. I guess he was born in the winter of 2013. Okay. I want to say. It was like literally a decade ago.
And now dive into, because my next question was going to be, what was the genesis story of Royal?
So
start there.
So I remember it was, okay, so culturally it's 2013. For better or for worse at this time, icons of the industry were Miley in her Bangers Tour era, Kanye in his Yeezus era, Beyonce had just released self-titled, Hannah Montana was dead and gone for a while now.
May she rest.
But there was this kind of like, for me, it was when I began to like idolize celebrity and like pay attention to how they worked and how things happened. And I mean, we all know Sasha Fierce. We all know Sasha Fierce. And I think I, at this point in my life, understood that in order to birth who I wanted to be, I had to become somebody else.
Okay.
And I think it was because, like, to get sad, it was like I was gay, I was fat, I didn't have a lot of friends, like I was socially awkward, like a lot of my life was online. Like I think I wanted to just become someone else. But I remember vividly watching the Royal Tenenbaums in my basement on Christmas break 2013.
Okay.
Or
Royal Tenenbaum. So
it may have been Christmas break 2013. Yeah, winter break, like junior year. And I remember watching the Royal Tenenbaums and just loving the fact that his name was Royal. Royal Tenenbaum was his name. And Wes Anderson became a big part of my life at that time. Then cut to and this is something I was telling Ross this recently about you, which is kind of shocking. I remember summer 2013, going into summer 2013, you were over, we were in the playroom, we were on the desktops, and you said, have you heard that song Royals by Lorde?
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And you were like, Joe, you have to listen to it. I know you're going to love her. And I was like, is she like, I remember vividly pressing play and like the synapses in my brain firing off. Like that was it. So then it was thanks to you. You introduced me to Lorde.
You kind of just like made the next couple of months for me.
You changed my life radically in that moment.
I'm so happy that I introduced you to Lorde. And like,
can you believe?
I actually like can't believe.
I mean, listen, and I'll give you the credit. Chapel Rowan, you've been there. You've been there for Renee Rapp. Was I almost there for Nicki Minaj? I do believe that I was. I think I was there right along with you for
I guess
Nicki.
you were.
But I feel like you were definitely you were the forefront of that one as well. I'm sure.
I kind of like I am that bitch.
You do know music, and you know who would like certain music. So anyways, thank you for that.
Of course, the least I could do.
So I remember when Royals came out, it also kind of solidified it. And I feel like in that time, I remember I was planning, college was coming up, admissions groups were coming up. And I said to myself, I'm going to go into college and introduce myself as Royal. That was the plan. So I wanted to get a head start. So going into senior year, I said to my friends, from this day forward, I want to be known as Royal.
So Royal was your alter ego that became
the ego,
the
ego and super ego.
And how many people would you say knew about Royal?
I feel like it was anyone who knew me at that point. I remember texting you. I remember verbatim saying, from this day forward, please refer to me as Royal.
Yep.
This was actually like, in retrospect, like deep mental illness, but also like, I feel like my wishes should have been granted. Like people should have respected it. Like I didn't want to be called Joe. Like I wanted a new name, and like it wasn't treated with the respect it deserved at the time. I think it was too ahead of its time.
I think it was a little bit ahead of its time. I would say if you were to say call me Royal now,
immediately
no one would even
bitches would get canceled for saying Joe.
Absolutely.
And that's what we need to bring here.
We
that's
do need to
bring to the table,
because I do believe, like, on my side of it, me hearing you tell me to call you Royal, I was like, yeah, like if that's what Joe wants, I'm gonna call him Royal. But in the back of my mind, I was like, something's off here.
Yeah, of course. And that's usually
but I kind of just have me. Like I kind of like felt that.
I kind of remember you like I remember like texting you it, and you kind of just like, I think you like just were like, okay, perfect. Like I think that was your response. No follow-ups, nothing.
Okay, amazing. Okay,
great. I remember like Frank was like, I'm absolutely not doing that.
Yeah.
And like obviously no one was doing it with full, like that's the thing about me, and it carries through to this podcast. Like I say a lot of shit very definitively.
Yes.
With like this tongue-in-cheekness where I'm like, I'm being serious, but I'm also not. And like, sometimes I don't think that relays to people, and people think I'm being 100% sincere. So like the Royal thing in high school was like obviously a bit, like it wasn't like I was fully committed.
But did you want it to be a bit?
Well, that's what it was, and that's how I do things usually. I started as a bit and hope it sticks. I think I wanted people to actually call me Royal, but I was not willing to claim it as hardly as I could have. Instead, I was like, haha, I'm Royal.
So I'm not trying to take this in a dark way.
Go for it.
But what it seems to me is that Royal was a form of potentially like a coping mechanism. So I just would like to play a little situation here.
Okay, great.
Now, if you were a therapist and you were to see this happening, what would you say might be bubbling beneath the surface?
Well, first of all, I think if I was a therapist and someone said they wanted to change their identity up, I would say go for it.
Exactly.
I think I invite everyone into personal reinvention around every corner. I think that's an amazing opportunity to find yourself.
I completely agree.
At the same time,
because if that was the case, though, Royal would have stayed.
Well, I think Royal was shut down by the haters. I think Royal was shut down by the haters.
Yeah.
No. And I think what was bubbled again, it was self-hate.
Yeah.
I think because here's the thing, like I don't know what it's like now. I don't know if it was like just a me experience in high school, but like I remember, like obviously like the trends have changed now, but I remember so badly in like junior year of high school wanting a pair of skinny jeans so badly and like not being allowed to get them.
And for what reason?
I don't know. Like I don't know. Maybe it
It's
was
just like
maybe it was homophobia.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like
it,
you'll look
yes.
weird. Like, but I, like my parents controlled a lot of what I wore then, and like what everything I did kind of was
because
like,
they were the ones
dictated
that were
by
putting
parents.
money behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So once I started getting my own money, like I like feel like once I graduated high school, I took full control. But like, I just felt like I think it's like a very like when you're in high school and you go to a Catholic school, you're not like you're wearing a uniform every single day, like. It's very hard to develop like a sense of self outside of that, especially when your parents are making decisions about what you're wearing and what you're buying. Like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean because like again, you're being told what to wear for school in the first place. You leave that space and you're still being told, not told what to wear, but kind of guided into what to wear because you have no control over funding or anything.
And
you
a
could say,
lot
I
of
want
my
this, but
a lot of my friends in high school didn't live nearby. Yeah. So like it wasn't easy to socialize with them outside of school. So it also was like school was kind of the only opportunity to like have social experiences, and I had to be in a uniform. So like, and also when you're fat, I feel like being fat in a uniform isn't doing you any favors in terms of expressing who you are. Like if someone's like everyone's looks the same, but you're fat. Do you know what I mean? Like that's all it is. And I think at this time in my life, I was ready to start experimenting with like styles and fashion
that made you feel good.
That made me feel good and like made me feel confident. And I could not represent that with like gel in my hair. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like that was the only thing I could possibly do.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even enough. Like I also remember really wanting to shave the sides of my head and also being told no by my parents. Obviously, I could have gone into the fucking barber and got that done, but I also was going to listen to what my parents thought.
I mean, again, it goes back to the good children.
Yeah.
It's like you could have been the child that was rebellious in a way that you said, fuck it. Right. And I'm going to do that. But it is honestly really admirable, Royal, because I think they gave you the space to, again, be who you wanted to be. And a lot of people didn't have that. They repressed a lot of the things that they wanted to do or wanted to feel or whatever and just kept going with the flow.
Well, social media gave me the space to be who I wanted to be. Like, I really do think that, like, this all coincided with the come up of Instagram and, like, realizing that what you present, like, it very quickly dawned on me that, like, you could present a different version of your life than what you're actually living on social media. And like I think it was also peak inauthenticity at that time. Like now we all want every influencer to be like the realest person in the entire world, like relatable, poor, broke, like down on their luck, like funny, every like shaky camera, like fucked up, like. But then it was like everyone. It was like King Kylie, you know. It was like perfect. Everyone wanted to be rich. Everyone still wants to be rich, but like at that point, there was no like eat the rich class warfare energy happening in the 17-year-old ethos. So it was like Kylie Jenner is the goal, like Miley is the goal, like rich, flawless, like badass, like on the fringe of like drug culture, like was the goal. And so as a 17-year-old privileged white boy from Long Island going to Catholic school, like it was easy to realize like I could kind of position myself this way on social media.
I think that you've always yearned to be, I mean, you are different, but you've always kind of like, that's why looking back on it, you going to Catholic school and it being so like uniform, like legitimately boggles my mind because you are anything but uniform. Let's take it away from you know, getting deep with Royal for a second. And let's get fun with Royal for a second, okay? So give me some situations or some memories that you have of Royal that you have cherished. Like when would Royal come out? Like you came out as Royal in college.
High school.
How long did that last?
I remember, I mean, like, again, a lot of it was internet. I remember my Instagram handle was Royal Hedges, and I remember my Twitter was Royal Hedges.
And this is when you were at the award shows.
This is when I was sitting front row with Miley Cyrus at the VMAs. This is when I was attending the Grammys, attending the Oscars. Like, let's just
come on, Joe.
We all know that bitch. We all know.
Do we?
You do?
I do know that.
You know that bitch.
And everybody listening knows that bitch.
I think everyone went to school with one compulsive liar who was pretending to be famous on the internet in high school. I genuinely believe it's a universal experience. I think a lot of those people aren't brave enough to make a podcast about it. Well, but that's what sets us apart, is that we're not afraid to publicly shame and humiliate ourselves. I was photoshopping myself with Miley Cyrus. Yep. I was photoshopping myself with Kendall Jenner. I was photoshopping myself with Chloe Grace Moretz. I posted a montage of images of me and Paris Hilton for Paris Hilton's birthday and said, "Happy birthday, miss you, girl," to Instagram.
I do believe that if we were to post that now, she would comment.
She would say, like, sliving,
love you.
I was posting, like, I was living. But again, it was a bit, like, it was a bit that I hoped people didn't know was a bit. It was like, I don't know how to explain what that is.
But when
like,
you're
my friends knew it was a fucking lie. Like, that was that was part of the joke. It was like, just, it's the same as this podcast. It's like, how far can I take something where I sound serious and make people believe it? Like, that to me is the funniest joke you could make.
But it's so interesting because even though I personally knew it was a lie, like,
but did you think I was crazy? Like, did you think, like,
no,
Joe's out here pretend, like, you had to have thought?
No, because the scariest part, and like, I think we're both deeply unwell. Like, the scariest part was, like, you were posting the fact that you were at the Grammys, and I was confirming it for other people that you were there. So it's like, if you were to commit a serious crime, I'm so scared I'd be an accomplice. Because
I used to feel like my biggest concern was that other people were like, does this bitch really think we're at the Grammys? Because the answer was no.
I know.
But at the same time, I do remember getting back from one of them. Like, it was a Sunday night. It must have been like the Grammys or something.
I feel like you posted pictures of you like on a flight
from the plane. Yeah, I did, and I timed it out. Like, I set my alarm for 3 a.m. and posted it.
Joe,
I did not want it to be a joke. I did not want it to be a joke. It was First of all, it was Manifestation 101. Like, and another, like, I didn't know these things at this time, but there also is, like, a belief in manifestation that the alter ego helps you achieve what you want. Like, the Sasha Fierce, like, was Beyonce did that to grow into what she wanted to get more of the things that she was manifesting. Like, it helps to have an alter ego. So Royal did help me achieve, like, what I wanted. And yeah, I do want to be at award shows. I do want to be at these things. So I was just putting it out there as if I was, like, and it was just so easy. Like, when you give a 16-year-old the ability to Photoshop something well, he could conquer the world.
Absolutely. I
do remember getting back from the Grammys, hypothetically, and I remember this girl, Danielle, who I still know to this day. She was like, "I'm really confused. Weren't you at the Grammys last night?" And I was like, "Girl, the jet lag is so crazy right now. Like, it's so..." And people were like, "How did you..." I really was one of those like a compulsive liar, because I remember, but I was doing, like, it's so crazy because it wasn't like I wasn't doing it like trying to lie. I was doing it like it was a gag to me. But I remember saying to her, my aunt, I was like, no, my aunt gets invited, so I just went. But like, hearing that, I know I sound like Lola from Confessions of a Teenage Shopper. Like, I know I sound like a compulsive liar.
I'm really loving this episode already because it is like putting you on the spot. I'm seeing you in real time.
I'm grilling myself.
Yeah. I'm seeing you in real time. Think about what you're saying.
Because
be
I
like,
hear
oh
what
my
I'm
God,
saying.
I sound crazy.
Yeah, I hear it.
But I do believe at the time it was like you were truly just lying, which is so interesting to me. Because like, you weren't lying. You were lying to the public. You weren't lying to yourself, because this is
or
what
to
you
my
wanted.
Friends.
Or to your friends. Like, I think that Royal really for you was like you saying to your friends, this is who I am.
This is who I want to be.
This is who I want to be. You put a name on them, but you were saying, like, whether it was your fashion, whether it was like your social presence, your like song choices, anything like that is who you wanted to be perceived as. Yeah. But you weren't you just weren't comfortable, I guess, being Joe and doing that because there was separation between the two.
It was easier to make it all of it.
Yes. But what's interesting about the lies though is like you didn't
I didn't see it as lying. Like
you didn't see it as lying, and
I saw it as a gag.
You saw it as a gag, but like, were you not worried about what other people thought?
Well, no, I've never been, and that's a problem I have.
That's
I
beautiful.
think maybe, but as I'm aging, I'm a little bit more worried. I think like when the podcast started, I got more worried. Now I think maybe I care a little bit less. I've never cared. Like, there's certain things I have undying confidence about, and one of them is like my thoughts. Like I'm not. Yeah. I'm pretty good at checking myself regularly. Yep. I feel like the royal thing. I was like, who cares if someone like. I didn't care if someone thought it was fake because I knew it was fake. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And my immediate friends, no one saw me post at the Grammys and text me and say, Joe, are you at the Grammys? Like, what I mean?
I saw was like, it's so impressive how good it is edited. Like how well it's edited. I'm like, okay, like Joe has some like serious skills.
It was almost actually embarrassing to me when people did believe it. I think that because I remember I posted a picture of me and Kylie Jenner at a Life Water event, and I got comments from people saying like, "Oh my god, like, wait, this is crazy! I can't believe you met her," and that was humiliating because I was like, "No, this is not real." And that was actually the problem. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is the problem.
And that shows where my mind was at, where I was like, don't humor me. Don't pretend this is real.
Yeah.
It was like a fantasy.
You were living in a fantasy world.
Let me live that fantasy. We'll never be royals.
But you were. But then,
I weaponized that song against people. I said, you'll never be royal.
It's kind of like you're the biggest bitch of the block. I'm like, what?
But then you have to remember like who I actually was then.
I know.
Like, the biggest loser, but then Emma Roberts in my head.
Yeah.
Like it really just
didn't it would come out sometimes, but then like, wow, it's so interesting. I'm like trying to debunk Royal.
Tumblr helped a lot.
Yeah. But I think that Royal allowed you to, I mean, with social media, you have been so ingratiated in socials for that reason. Like you can be somebody different on the internet. Now you're completely yourself on the internet that you are off the internet, which is great. And I think that's how we are as a society. But yeah, it really goes to show you that you can be anything and anyone.
Well,
you can.
Yes.
Well, yes.
I think that it's actually something I've been thinking about a lot as I plan to release music this year, as I set a deadline for myself, where I like do feel like if I didn't have this podcast, it would be easier because then I could like completely create an alter ego and just go from there. But now it's like, if I put out a song as Royal, it's like, well, how about we listen to the 7,500 hours of this podcast where I'm being like a fucking loser every single week. And like, it just
say that about yourself. We're cool.
Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks it. So it's harder, I guess, once you put your actual stuff out there to retreat.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Let me live that fantasy.
I have about a few more questions before I want to just deep dive into the final question that will lead us to a full statement from each person that was at your 17th birthday party. So that could take a while. One is, what advice would you give Royal today? If you were going to do it again, keep going.
Keep going. I would say keep going immediately. Like, I really think that is, like, I wish, again, two sides to the coin. Okay. I'm very happy with the way that things have been happening for me. I think if it happened a different way, mistakes would have been made along the way. Yeah. Which, I mean, mistakes were made along the way this way as well, but whatever. I think if I had kept going, if I had bought the skinny jeans junior year, if I had like gotten the Doc Martens, if I had like shopped it, or also I guess everything was also a price issue, but I just wish I leaned in and then like even in college I did. Like in college I definitely experimented with fashion a lot more. I remember like wearing the tightest jeans you've ever seen in your entire life. But it was also still like I think I like stole Amanda's jeggings. Like I was like borrowing shit from my sister's closet that I thought was cool.
You were like wearing a jegging.
I was wearing a jegging. I was wearing, and
Joe jegging Hedges.
I was jegging the fuck up. Like it was crazy what was happening. I was jegging McCartney. It was really nuts.
I'm gonna start saying I'm jegging.
Have you called jeggy yet?
No, yeah, literally.
Like on the Amish hat I got from Amazon. Like the fat. Like and that's why I'm wearing my like black eye eyeshadow right now. Like I like the way my hair looks in the current moment. I feel like I need to just do, like, if I have a thought in my head, like just execute on it aesthetically. Like I think it's easy to fall back into what is like classically attractive or classically normal, and I'll have phases where I go like full English professor because it's like that. I know that's the easiest thing you could do.
Random point of the podcast.
The ties were different. That was supposed to be fashion, and I don't regret it.
No,
I don't regret it. I think in retrospect, it didn't look good, but I don't regret the fact.
I don't think it looked bad.
It was just weird. I looked like a Mormon, and like that's fine. But like I don't regret that I tried it, and that's like I look back at the pictures of me with the Amish hat on and the skinny jeans, and it's like, yeah, I look fucking stupid.
Yeah,
but who got hurt? And that's like always
the time,
like my mom
that's what
always,
you wanted.
Yes, and my mom always was like, you don't want to look back at pictures and say, oh my god, I can't believe I did that, like with like hair and shit. And I'm like, yeah, I actually really do. Like I think it'd be so boring if I look back at myself 20 years from now and I was like, oh wow, I looked great and everything looked perfect. Like I want to look like, I love looking at old pictures and being amazed at the fashion and like questioning like why someone would think that was fashionable. Like I think we're at that point with mullets and shit, like where it's like we're all as a culture like leaning into being more like ugly on purpose. Yeah. But I don't know. It's like I would like to remind myself as a 17-year-old that like your ideas aren't crazy and like it's fun to experiment.
Now, do you think that ever stops? Like for our listeners, what's your advice to them? What I'm gathering is the same thing. It's like whatever you're feeling in the moment, whether you want to explore your fashion, you want to explore your like music choices, how you're perceived on the internet, your name, your anything. It's just going for it because it's so easy to stay where you're at and be complacent with where you're at, and then in 25 years you do look back and you're like, oh my god, like the worst thing to say would be like, oh, nothing's changed.
Right. I mean, that's also a great thing.
It's a great thing. I mean, like, in many ways, for sure.
Yeah.
But like,
I think it's just fun
it's
to
evolution.
Make mistakes, like harmless mistakes that like don't affect anyone at all, including yourself. Like, I think if you do, like, if there's that gut feeling in you that you want to change something about yourself, just do it. Like, don't wait. Like, what's the point of waiting? You could literally get hit by a car today and die. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, and I think that was also a big stress for me. Like when I was really afraid of death. And I feel like it was because I was not doing anything I wanted to do. Yeah. I was not living my authentic truth. And realizing like once I started to lean into who I am, it's like I'm willing to take more risks and do more things because what's the fucking point? Like what is the point of playing it safe? The amount of shit happening every single day, it's like, and I want to look normal for strangers. I've been sticking with this quote and I didn't read the newsletter because it's paid. So sorry to Teffy on that one, but Teffy released a newsletter and someone posted a quote from it. And it was like, I'm paraphrasing it incorrectly, but she said something to the effect of like, for so long, I stood in front of people who did not know who they are and asked them to tell me who I am. And I actually think that that's such an important thing to think about. Wow. Where it's like, I actually have been begging everyone to tell me who I am my entire life because I've been too afraid to actually say it. And that was kind of Royal was the first time where I was like, actually, this is me. Do you know what I mean?
This is real.
This is real. This is me. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I don't know. I just think take the risk, do the thing, shave your head, bleach your eyebrows, be bisexual, come out, like do whatever it is that makes that you want to do. You want it.
And it's not, it's you're doing it for yourself in anything that you do and not for other people. And it's not seen as selfish by shaving your head, by coming out, by doing all these things, even though in your mind you're like,
you can convince
what
yourself
is everybody
easily,
else going to think?
Yeah.
Because I think what I admire about Royal, we're very different in that way. I care so much about what other people think.
It's great. You said I can't wear Vans because Vans I'd be posing because I don't skateboard.
Exactly.
So I'm buying the Vans.
Well, exactly. Which shocks me that you wouldn't get the skinny jeans.
It was more about family. It was more about my parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, it's things like that. It's like,
I used to like stare in the mirror and pull my jeans back and imagine them skinny.
Because Joe, the through line in your whole entire life, you have the most stunning legs. You really do.
I am skinny as a needle legs.
Skinny as a needle legs. And I was always like, I always looked at those legs and was like, Joe is just like, he has model legs. And I have been told by grandmothers that I have tree trunks legs. So
at the end of the day,
I'm
tree
happy.
Trunk leg is hot.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I've learned a lot of things as I've
since
aged,
you were 16. Yeah.
Since I was 16, that like even down to chest,
yeah.
I love these tits.
Thank God.
More than anything at this point. I'm squeezing at least 3 times a day. It's like a juicery in my room. I'm sorry.
It's
but
juice press.
It's true. My bedroom was juice press. Me squeezing these tits. Anyways, the final question that I really have for you before we get into the next segment is going to be, and I think you've already alluded to it, but what can we expect from Royal coming forward? What is the next iteration of Royal?
I think that we'll see like a little bit more. I think it'll be in the fashion exploration, in the gender exploration, in like how I'm showing up. I feel like I do genuinely think I think that when I do release music, it will be under the pseudonym Royal. I almost just threw up. In 2015, I remember like I have all the album art for an album as the artist Royal Wars.
Yep.
So I think Royal will come back in that way. And I do kind of still want to go the alter ego route. In fact, I have to actually dig into that closet back there because in 2020, I got a custom mullet wig made, bright orange.
I remember this.
And I kind of want Royal, the musician, to have that wig. I kind of want to Hannah Montana it a bit.
Yeah.
And then I think that would just be like, I need to just find it in that closet. Because I feel like that'd be fun.
Because I think that like you do exude confidence, regardless if you feel it or not, but you do.
Thank you.
But I do think that like when it comes to that, it's gonna give you an extra layer of confidence to be like, I can be this version of myself in front of a crowd.
Yeah,
a large crowd. Costume. Yes,
it's every single live show we've done. I've been in a costume.
I can't wait to be your Lily.
Yeah,
I really can't.
My Lola left tangle.
Yes, literally.
Stop.
Okay. I feel like we're wrapping up that first interview, but I do have one question for you. And Royal, was your world shattered in 2013?
Yes.
When you found out that someone was drinking at your 17th birthday party? What did it do to Royal's ego?
Well, honestly, Royal was still just gestating at this point. It was like literally that time where the concept was Royals is on the radio. So this was really it was beginning to come to fruition. This was almost
your final straw. This was fuck it, I'm going to be Royal now.
Well, to bring it back, that was the summer where I didn't invite any of my high school friends to that birthday. I only invited the Dailers.
Yeah.
Because I was in the middle of a reinvention that summer. I did not want them to see me. I did not want them to celebrate my birthday. So I do remember there's getting in trouble for something you did and then being accused of something you didn't. And I think that the rage that comes with being accused for something you didn't is an unparalleled experience. Like if I knew or if I partook or even allowed the drinking to happen at my 17th birthday, it'd be a guilt.
Yes.
But because I didn't know, there was layers. One, I was like, well, what fucking bitch is like sneaking this and not telling me?
Also, like, do you not respect me?
Well, yeah, like I wasn't necessarily, it wasn't a matter of respect.
I'm like, you hate me?
I just remember like being like, it was just kind of embarrassing for me. Because also, like, I was known for, like, throwing a sober party. Like, I was just like, oh, like, everyone's been bored. You know? Because it was the time when everyone wanted to drink. And I was like, oh, I've been, like, holding people hostage at my house for these parties.
With, like, Coke Zeros.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So there was also that side of it. There was, like, a little bit of, like, embarrassment. I didn't know we'd still be talking about it a decade later. I certainly did not know.
And I can certainly tell you, I guarantee the people at the party also didn't think that. So the first episode was probably a shock to them.
Yes. And a few of them have reached out about it.
Yes, a few of them have. And as I said and mentioned before, I did reach out to about 7 of them at the party. I didn't hear from everyone back. I didn't get a response from everyone. So they're still in the mix for potentially being the one that drank at the party. But for those that I did reach out to, some of them did need to go back to the first episode to get the refresher. And for that, I appreciate you.
And for that, I'm sorry, because we accused a lot of them of different things, not even just of drinking. We just talked shit.
We were like, we were talking shit.
But, and we use pseudonyms, but they know.
They know. They know that they cracked the code. They did crack the code. Rob cracked the code. So should I be talking about them in pseudonyms again?
I think no. I think we should just go for it.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, as a clarifier, as a disclaimer, not one of these people is in trouble.
No.
You know, like
nobody.
If at this point we respect it. So it's just a matter of passion.
Yeah.
To find out the truth.
Okay. So with that being said, I have responses from John Paul, Mary Kate, Vinnie, Tor, Joe, Nicole. So
I have chills.
I have 6 statements, some longer than others, some voice messages that we will be playing as well.
Full body chills.
Full body chills. I'm personally going to start with John Paul. I reached out to John Paul on the first episode, but I didn't have the chance to see the message until after we were already recorded. Right. So I reached back out and I said, please
Should
send
we give a
your
little context?
Yes.
So John Paul, I think we both met John Paul in the same year.
Yes. And
I want to say 5th grade.
5th grade. No, 6th grade.
No, I think I met John Paul 5th grade.
You might have met John Paul before me because
I think in sports.
Yeah, he was in my 6th grade history class.
I remember seeing him in the hallway in 6th grade and being like, we know each other.
Yes. And then like John Paul was kind of in.
He was in the mix.
He was in the mix
whole time.
And me and John Paul did win best friends in high school.
So needless to say, there was a little bit of beef.
There was a little bit of beef, and like looking back on it, I can understand.
I mean, looking back on it, I can't. Yeah. So it's fine.
But like me and John Paul always like we were very similar as a person.
Yes.
Which I think that
motivated, driven,
and like wearing Vineyard Vines identically.
Little Mitt Romneys.
We were little Mitts.
Oh.
I create a boy group and it's little Mitts. I am
Wait, I didn't even
dead.
catch that.
I am dead.
Little Mitts.
I can't. Welcome to the stage.
Little Mitts.
So, this is verbatim from John Paul.
Okay.
I'm terrified. Okay, I weirdly remember that beers were found in the cooler later that night, or the next day. I want to say it would usually be me, because I thought it was cool to sneak a drink. But I also think I was terrified of drinking at the Hedges house because Patty and Joe's judgment. I was also terrified because earlier that year, your parents caught me talking about drinking at Shelter Island House for prom weekend. I also weirdly remember talking to Joe about sneaking beers one time to Joe's, but I want to say that was for Halloween. It could have been for his birthday party because I probably said it would bring some too, and then I probably chickened out. This is so insane to me. When in doubt, I blame Tor.
Now 2 people have been blamed. 3 people in this message have been blamed. Sal, Joe, and Tor.
So John Paul's throwing out a lot of accusations. And yet continually incriminating himself at the same time.
So John Paul, I hate to be this person, but I do believe
right now you're at the top of the pyramid.
Right now you're at the top of the pyramid by incriminating 3 others, and you are in law. So you're incriminating 3 others.
Yeah, I mean, John Paul, not a good case.
This is not a good case. But I kind of see where he's coming from, because I do believe the terror, it wasn't even like I get the terror of judgment, because at this point in our lives, drinking was it was a no-go.
Especially in this house.
Yeah. You come through with a 12-pack, you're leaving in cuffs. I was gonna say like, yeah. So that was John Paul's response. Okay.
It's interesting to note that he accused Tor.
Now I feel like I almost need to go to Tor.
I think Tor is next. When in doubt, blame Tor.
When in doubt, blame Tor.
So now Tor, for context. I remember the first time I met Victoria, we were lab partners in science class, 7th grade. We dissected a frog together that we named Trisha.
But why?
After Trisha.
Actually.
Who was also at the party. Was she reached out to?
She wasn't reached out to.
I don't think it was Trisha. But we named the frog Trisha. And I just remember from that day forward, I would turn off my ringer.
What the heck?
I just remember from that day forward, I was infatuated with Victoria, with Tor.
Yep. There is nobody like Tor
except you,
except me.
You guys,
and that's why she was
similar.
My perfect prom date.
You guys were literally the same person.
Same person, very similar energy. Her accent is through the roof, and I'm obsessed with it. So we're gonna listen. She did send 3 voice notes. The first one is 1 minute and 52 seconds.
Perfect.
So think about that when you.
I'm so scared. You could probably just.
Okay, so I've had a minute to get home and think about my Joe Cello statement. And a lot of it might be repetitive because you already said this in the podcast, but we were definitely the weirder group of friends in high school, and I love it. I would never change anything about it. But, we were weird and we loved but I also feel like we were in the times. It was just on brand to love Vine and love Tumblr and bring your digital camera to all these events. So is it weird, or was that just culturally
it was cool
what was going on at the time? So whatever. But I remember we definitely sat a lot in the beginning. We sat under that little pergola thing, and we were just everyone was chatting, being weird, talking, and there was definitely a mini table of drinks, sodas, iced teas, and there's always a stack of cups, always a stack of solo cups. So those were definitely there. So who's to say that somebody, poured themselves a little one when no one was looking? Who was it? I really think it could be Nicole. Why? Why would I say it's Nicole? I would say it's Nicole because we were again, it was just culturally appropriate how we acted, but we were the weirder kids. We were weird. We recited vines and plays and TikToks and Broadway shit. We sang, we danced, we twerked. I'm fat, so I wanted to be thrown in the pool with my clothes on. Yes, that was what you said in the podcast was definitely real for me. But I just think she's a culprit. I don't think it's Vinnie. I don't think it's Joe. No, I do think it's Joe. It could be Joe Napoli as well. Chaos. This is chaotic.
This is
my last statement.
This is true crime in a crazy way.
I actually can't believe what we're doing.
My heart was pounding.
That last message just almost sent me over.
You were losing it.
Because in the moment, I was like, what are we doing? This is 10 years old. We are pitting people against each other in a way that Nicole listens back and is what the
that bitch.
Fuck? Can't wait. Once I actually do plan this reunion, when people come back.
I'm sorry. I'm coming with the Alex Earl light.
Yes.
I'm going to get every single person on camera.
No, absolutely.
It's over. I'm coming with the whole studio set.
Yes.
Okay, now my last and final statement, which could also be another culprit, is for Joe Hegyes. Joe, your backyard neighbors who approached your mom the next day and said, we found beer cans in our yard, do those people also have children or underage children? Do you think that they could have maybe set this up in a way that like they hid the beers and then, oh, the mom found it. And then they're like, oh, I bet it was those kids because they were having a party, behind us. Like, do you think somebody could have set you up to like look like it was us having a party, but it was really your backyard neighbor's kids? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Another food for thought to think about.
We've considered that. And the thing is that my neighbor's children were like in their 30s at that point and not living at home. So clearly the next person we have to hear from is Nicole. Nicole, I remember meeting Nicole. I met Nicole pretty early. I want to say Nicole was actually on our like basketball team in 2nd grade. I don't know if you even remember this, but we played basketball with Nicole. There's a picture of me, you, and Nicole as babies, and like Amanda and Sandra are in the background, like as 10-year-olds. I know Nicole. Nicole and her sister Sandra are family friends at this point, I feel like, with my family, and Nicole was always cooler. Nicole hung out with a different crowd.
Tor brought up a good point. Nicole was always cooler.
And like she was a cool girl. We were to Victoria's point, we were weird.
Nicole was just like a normal teenager.
Yes, she was normal, and then we were weird.
That was experiencing like drinking in high school socially, but like not crazy. Right, it was like you would look at Nicole and you were like, oh my God, yeah, she's the cool girl. She has friends. She's social, whatever. So
and then there was us being like, let's do vines.
Yeah.
Like, to Victoria.
Like, should we do cartwheels in your backyard? Anyways, so let's hear from Nicole.
Because she needs to defend herself now.
Nicole's statement wasn't very long.
Oh my God. I remember the bracelets that said Jochella. I want to say with peace signs on them. Def didn't drink.
Wow. I have to say I believe Nicole.
I believe Nicole
for
with
two
every
reasons.
bone in my body.
She was coming with her older sister.
Correct.
And Sandra definitely would not.
No, not at all.
In this house.
And again, their mom.
That's
and
what I'm
Patty,
saying. There's like a family friend side of it.
There's a familial aspect, and I don't think Nicole is somebody who was like, I need to drink. I think that we go to Joe.
Yes.
Joe didn't give much either.
Joe, for context, also childhood best friend, went to the same preschool as us, was in our bowling league together, was in every single group costume with us. Joe has been the side participant to Good Children this entire time. Joe, and he would claim this, and I'm sure he does, was the bad Joe, and I was the good Joe. So there was oftentimes situations where bad Joe would get in trouble, but I would be accidentally the one who was in trouble. For example, when I almost got shanked in 7th grade and 6th grade, the other Joe was obviously this Joe. There was also times when I made mistakes and I got in trouble, and good old Joe would take the fall because he knew it meant more to me than to him to get in trouble.
So sometimes
he was almost a better kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had a real like heart to him.
He would do wrong sometimes, but he had a good heart. He had a really great heart.
Yeah.
Which kind of made him a great Joe.
Yes.
So Joe, when I reached out to Joe, didn't remember. And this is which makes sense. He did not remember the night.
Why would
he? It
was
10 years ago.
10 years ago, it was my birthday.
So he wanted pictures for reference, which I did not follow up with. So, and that is the truth. He did not remember.
Journalism.
And that's good journalism, right? So he didn't follow up. He did say, though, he has a vivid memory of our childhood, which he's trying to get a seat at the table. And we hear you and we see you, Joe. But I did put doesn't remember. Blackout. I hate to be that person.
I don't think the amount of alcohol constituted blacking out for anyone, even in high school.
Nope. The next one, though, the next statement was from Vinnie.
So Vinnie was actually on our list. Vinnie was being accused in a major way.
In a huge way.
Vinnie had the backpack. That was the subject for questioning from a lot of people. And you're okay? Are you okay?
Yeah, I just like I in that moment I kind of was like, we really Vinny.
We really have no respect for anyone but ourselves. And especially sister and
I
no
feel
respect
horrible.
For them. No respect for them.
Unless they pass on, because then it's behind me.
It's
But if
behind
they're
me, but
still
they're
living on this
family.
earth,
They could have family.
they do.
But Vinny, for context, I remember meeting Vinny like 6th grade. Vinny came out way before we did.
Yes. I kind of always was jealous of Vinny for that reason.
Of course.
Because he also was cool. Like, I mean, like, he was a part of this friend group. He was, like, artsy cool.
Yeah.
And, like, athletic and whatever. So he brought the backpack to the party. But his response was,
Hey. So I'm actually watching the first episode right now as Rob. I now have to defend myself.
How did he know? I guess we really made it clear.
Because I did literally carry a backpack, JanSport backpack with my water bottle and medication and stuff for my anxiety. Literally gonna come on the pod under a pseudo voice to clear my name. Believe it or not, I actually was inside for a lot of the party talking to both Joe's mom and Joe's sister. I actually had to think back because I remember Tor being on the float in the pool, and then I remember being inside talking to Patty and Amanda. I have my suspicions, but I will give you my answer after I finish the first episode. My guess would be Mary Kate and I texted Tor before I watched, and that's actually what I said to her. I also can't imagine a world where Joe would want to be surrounded by all these people he doesn't like, know very well, and party with them.
as in Joe Napoli.
Oh my god, I thought it was me. I got so the way that my heart started pounding.
I
I
left
was
at the
being
last name
called
for that
out.
reason. But so he's saying
But it's-
Joe wouldn't have drank because he didn't want to be around us in the first place. He's saying it was Mary Kate and Sal,
Did you reach out to Mary Kate?
and I did.
And did she respond?
And Mary Kate's response was,
Stop, because I actually was hoping that we got a Mary Kate
And Mary
response.
Kate's
I don't want to
response
hear it
was-
yet. I don't even want to hear it yet because to bring it back, Mary Kate was the one who cleared Vinny's name to me in the first
Yes.
place. She said that backpack was for anxiety.
yes.
So this is Mary, and then Vinny said it was Mary Kate.
And Mary Kate said, if I was there, it was probably me.
Oh my god.
Now, can you even believe you could breathe now, Royal?
I feel crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah. If I was there, it was probably me. Yeah. So I don't know if she's just taking the blame to take it because she doesn't remember.
But that seems like,
But it seems like you would remember.
or
So
it was
seems
pretty
like
common for her.
yes, and it seems like Vinny was
Knew.
right
Yeah.
because
They were very close.
They were close. I had to believe now it was Mary Kate. I have to believe.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
So I'm
Mary Kate, I want to say, I'm sorry for putting you in a situation where you felt like you had to lie and hide from the truth. And in reality, I kind of wish I was having the beers with you.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, it seems like maybe the real truth we were getting at after all wasn't about who drank, but it was about getting back to our roots and getting back to the people who were there from the beginning and getting
Yeah.
back in touch,
Mm-hmm.
reuniting.
I think that's exactly what I learned from this was like I haven't talked to some of these people in a really long
So
time.
long.
And even just that one text, yeah, it was because of our podcast, but like to see their name pop back up on my screen
How
was
crazy.
actually beautiful.
Yeah.
And now we are getting drinks with Mary Kate. Like,
Yeah.
I want to hang out with her. Vinny is another person. I haven't seen him in a long
I would love
time.
to see Vinny.
Would love to see Vinny. John Paul, I'm going to his wedding.
Yeah.
So it is
We
incredible.
saw some of them at the live shows last
did.
time I saw them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
It feels crazy to loop back around and get an answer.
We got to the bottom of it. You know what?
You got to the bottom.
I got to the bottom of it. I'm really happy that I was able to piece these things together and get statements from people. And I hope that they were fine with me sharing. And I did let them know. So, Tor, thank you for sending the voice notes. I think that was great to put a voice to the name.
Yeah.
Otherwise, next time, for some people with statements, the longer the better.
The longer the better. And I hope that maybe we can rack our brains, the 3 cells we have left.
Yes.
And find another mystery. Because it's almost sad.
I agree.
To see this story wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
And while we're at it, actually, let's bring it actually to the guidance office for a second.
Yep.
Good children to the guidance office.
Yeah, who the fuck was at the door? Who was, ringing that doorbell? It's a mystery that people, I feel like we deserve to know, All right. Bye.
That's actually really good.
Who is
was
at
that?
the door?
Who the fuck was at the door?
So this is in reference, obviously, to the Grinch and Cindy Lou Who episode when our doorbell rang when we were in full drag.
So, who was at our door was...
It was a man who worked in our building,
Yes.
dropping off packages. And I don't think that I think he just left the packages outside, right?
Well, because after the second ring...
And because we cut it out of the episode, but we sat in silence for like 5 more minutes in dead silence until he left.
Because we were panicked about it. And we were like, we thought he was gone. And then
The second
he
ring
must have
happened.
made a round again.
I
check.
think he just heard us talking. And he knew we were in because what we learned about our old apartment was like if you got off the elevator on our floor, we were at the last apartment in the hallway. You could hear every word that was being said in our living room from the end of the hallway.
Yep.
So he heard us talking.
He did.
And he was like, why aren't they answering? And then he heard us, we went back to talking and then he rang again and we got silent. So he knew we did not want to open the door.
I feel like that video needs to be shared with him.
I know, John.
John needs to see that video.
Also, poor John, this wasn't the only time that a doorbell incident happened in that apartment. Remember when we did shrooms?
How could I forget? And I answered the door.
It was me.
Well,
how could I forget?
This is my trip. So
it was me.
Yeah, it was you.
I almost think you were crying in your room about Poland at that point.
No, I wasn't crying about Poland yet. I was crying. I was still in the corner looking at the tree saying, it's coming towards me. Yeah.
And I remember we were all sitting there and the doorbell rang.
Yep.
And I obviously default to you, usually in all situations like that. But I also had an understanding that this was a bit more of a unique situation for you. Yeah. I think it would have been fucked up if I said, Andrew, open that door.
Yeah. Well, I would have started crying.
But I also felt like I was going to start crying.
Yeah.
But I remember doing it because it happened twice. And the person who we did shrooms with the first time yelled out like, cocksucker.
I remember that.
So that was even more embarrassing.
So it was kind of like...
I was like, what are you doing?
Well, yes, but why are you saying that?
And then I had to like open the door, pupils dilated, hunched, and say, thank you. And I walked in with the packages and it was devil horns. I remember I walked in and I ripped open the box with my teeth.
Yep. And then after that... No, I can't.
You cried about Poland?
I cried about Poland and I stripped naked and hugged my body. And then...
That's what happened.
I think I witnessed a birth.
Anyway, that was our first question, but that's not our only question because we've gotten so many in our time off.
So what do you guys recommend when you are a gay man, such as myself? What do you recommend as far as interactions where if you're not like a gay's gay, but like you get along with like everyone around you, like everyone, like you're a girl's gay, they love you. You're a guy's gay, but the guy is straight. Like they love you, but the gays don't love you. What do you recommend as far as like just like communication tactics? Like what are your thoughts?
For so many gay men, like talking to other gay men, like we're all so deeply damaged and insecure that like people come off as shy, people come off as nervous, and we read that as mean and nasty. When in reality, it's like insecurity coming to the forefront.
Because like everyone wants to feel comfortable.
Yes, and we all don't know. We weren't really trained to socialize with each other. It was almost like a bad thing. Like I remember growing up with you, like when we were both being gay, like it was like a bad thing to like be gay together, like to, like like even to put on the wigs, like it was embarrassing. And I feel like because of that, you've taught yourself you don't want to hang out with them. Like you can be gay, but like not that like you can't like lean in. So I don't know. I think it's just a matter of having more like, you gotta look at the gay lifestyle as really funny.
Yeah.
I think first of all, you have to laugh at it, and then you have to look at who else is laughing and then laugh with them.
I agree. And I also want to challenge you because you're clearly comfortable with the girls, right?
And comfortable with yourself.
And you're comfortable with yourself. You're comfortable with the straight guys. You identify with as a guy, I would assume.
A gay, at least.
A gay. But you're not feeling comfortable with what you identify with in this circle, right? Like,
wow.
So that's, I mean, I'm not saying it in a way because I felt that way too, and I get it. But it's like, in those situations, I think that you're going to find a real big difference with gays when you feel comfortable being with those gays. Because I never felt comfortable in gay spaces, and now I do. And
what do you mean?
When I'm with people, I like to make other people feel comfortable, right? Like, so I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So with girls, it's not hard for me because, like, I already feel comfortable as a person. So, like, I'm like, okay, I can be with my girls because whatever. I can be gay, and they're obsessed with it. With the guys, I'm like, I'm gay, but I want to make myself feel comfortable in this space. So I'm having the conversations with them. I'm not like getting it. I'm like just going with the flow with them.
Yeah.
With the gays though, I don't feel comfortable because like I'm shy. I'm intimidated.
Why?
I'm insecure. So then in that situation, I'm a little bit more quiet. I'm a little bit more reserved. I feel like I kind of come off as bitchy.
I think that's what we realized about ourselves.
Yeah, I come off as a bitchy.
We had that
gay.
moment where we were like, wait, we are the bitchy. We think that everyone else is being bitchy, but we're not looking people in the eyes, whispering to each other at a party.
But why am I not? We actually
are the bitches.
We're the bitches. But why am I not like in the situations with the girls or the straight guys? I'm the one that's engaging in conversation.
Well, I think that you kind of make a good point. Like when you're with the girls, being gay is enough. You know what I mean? Like it's just enough to, I mean, there's layers to it. But when you're with the gays, you're all operating at the same baseline. Your main personality trait of being gay is no longer enough to carry through the conversation.
Exactly.
I think that also, to your point, the more comfortable you get with yourself as a gay man, the more comfortable you are around gay men.
Exactly.
And I'll always say this. I think gay men are psychotic. I think gay spaces are psychotic. I think that almost 99% of what we see on Twitter and on the internet and like the jokes and the gags and the conversations are like brain rottingly, numbingly surface level. Mm-hmm. But I think that is just that. I think it's like an iceberg. Like once you get past that surface level of poppers, it like you actually start to learn more about a person. And I think that we're just looking for common ground by going for those extreme stereotypical things to like find an in with each other. I think the easiest thing truly is watching a Real Housewives franchise. There is no better way to connect with another human being on this planet, gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, asexual. Do lesbians love Real Housewives? That's a question I would like to find out.
I would like to find that out as well.
There is no greater way to connect with strangers on this planet and realize that we are all part of a deeply intricate universe than watching the Real Housewives. All you need to do to become someone's closest confidant in a social setting is just watch the Real Housewives. Like the way a person lights up from the inside when they know what franchise you're talking about, the way that you feel sisterhood that you've never experienced in your entire life with a complete stranger, as long as they know who Lisa Barlow is genuinely one of the most beautiful and unmistakably human experiences you can have on this planet. And I encourage every one of us to invest 2 to 4 weeks watching a Real Housewives franchise of your choosing.
It's a commitment, but I honestly do thank you for introducing me to it.
It changes your life.
Joe, I since I've had incredible conversations.
It's the great equalizer.
Hunter, with you, with your mother in the car today.
Exactly.
I just felt like I was included. I had a seat at the table.
It's like watching sports.
And I've never felt more isolated than when I was
know.
in situations when people were talking about it and I couldn't
know.
keep up. And now
it is necessary
keep up.
viewing because like even when I was in Australia, like if I was in a difficult social setting around gays and Australian gays, I can't even speak, we don't speak the same language. No. But the moment that I brought up the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, instantly I connected with a gay and had a 25-minute conversation. And in that conversation, you reveal so much about yourself by what you see in these women. It is literally like, it's genuinely the most crucial tool we have.
I agree.
It is the only thing we have on this planet to connect ourselves to other people. And I implore you to explore it.
Wow.
And you look up at the lights on the buildings and all of the things that make you wonder. And I am here and I am looking at her and she is so beautiful. And in that moment, I swear, we are infinite. Dun, 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 dun.
Wow. I'm obsessed with this episode.
I'm going to take us down under for an amazing treat where I had a meat pie and a vanilla slice. Greetings from Australia.
Hi.
Today we are doing the snack of the week.
Yeah.
We're here with Ross.
Hi.
If you haven't met Ross, Ross is my boyfriend. I've been visiting his family for the past almost 2 weeks. Kind of crazy.
Very crazy.
And I've been trying a lot of different foods and fare and fauna and flora while I'm here. Today is a big day because we've been waiting to record this, but we are getting...
We're gonna get a meat pie and a vanilla slice.
And I've had some meat pies before. We've all had a few meat pies in our lives. And I used to get them from Pie Face in New York City, which I found out is an Australian company, which makes sense because it's an Australian cuisine.
Yeah, it's pies.
I'm fucking sweating in this car already, and we just turned the air conditioner off like 2 seconds ago. We're gonna go.
Okay, Deva.
An important update is that the car next to us' license plate is Cuoco, spelled exactly like Kaylee Cuoco. Makes you think a lot, personally. So what we picked up today is I got a Solo,
which is an Australian soda. Or soft drink, what we call it.
I would actually categorize it as a soft drink and less of a soda. It has some of the best flavor I've ever had and also the best amount of carbonation. It's like there, but it's not. They also make it hard.
I got a pie, and it is bacon, steak, and cheese.
I got a pepper pie. I don't even know what that means. But I love pepper.
I have no idea what that flavor is.
Show them. Are you gagging? It tastes like pepper and flaky pastry.
You want those people to hear our conversation?
No, sorry, the Cuocos just showed up.
I'm glad you didn't take a photo of their registration.
I think what I've learned about this country.
What?
One, all these fucking bitches out here talking about how scary Australia is because of wildlife. I've dealt with the spiders. If I can deal with them, anyone can deal with them.
You've been very brave.
Thank you. Did I ask Ross's mom to help? Well, did I ask Ross who then enlisted the help of his mother to eradicate a huntsman from our room ethically? Yes. And
because he wouldn't sleep until I did.
I actually laid in bed under the covers as it all happened in front of me. But otherwise, like, I'm okay with this. There could be one in this car right now. There was.
There probably is.
That's not funny. Geographically, like, Australia is located in the ideal place to have so many incredible cuisines. Like, you're getting it from every angle.
Yeah.
And that's something that's lacking for us back in the States. I'm gonna eat this vanilla slice.
We got dessert!
Because I have places to go and people to see.
This is a vanilla slice. Some people call it a snot block, but...
A what? It's kind of giving sweet Adele.
What's that?
I understand why you've been trying to get me to have it for a week straight now. Back to America. And just like that,
Joe, you look different.
I looked really bad in that video, and it was upsetting
Really?
me. Because I actually rolled the tapes. The first time I filmed it, I looked amazing. And then the second time I was like, I look like shit. Well.
Hi.
What happened?
I didn't have one.
And I was actually annoyed for the rest of the day, thinking like, why did I not make myself look better before I did this?
Sometimes.
But it's okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
I've looked so much worse. It's true.
Yeah. And with that,
it's time to say goodbye for now, but not forever, because we'll see you on Friday with a brand new Patreon, and we'll see you next Wednesday with a brand new episode.
and in the meantime, you know what to do. Don't forget to do your homework. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. I definitely need a few ratings.
Yeah, I
think
would
this
like
is
to
a call
see a
to
few
action.
new ones.
I think this is a call to action. I would like to see a few ratings on Apple Podcasts because I
Yeah.
think we've been running dry.
We get a few a week, but I would like
We
to
do.
see. I would like to see 25 more this week.
I would like to see 150. So I think that
If you want to be one of the chosen 150 that Andrew sees this week, 5 stars. They changed my life. They need a TV show. They need a Peabody Award.
a Peabody Award.
If you're watching this on YouTube, press that damn bell button. I think a lot of you did because our YouTube views are going up now. And I wonder if that has to do with that bell button. So don't forget.
Don't forget. And you know where to find us across all social media platforms at Good Children Pod. I'm on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella, on TikTok at Andrew_Muskie.
I'm on Instagram at Joe Hedges and on TikTok at Be Quiet Joe. We'll never be royals. You can call me. It don't run in our blood. The kind of love sent for us. We crave a different kind of rush.
Is it love?
Different kind of love. Let me be your ruler. You can call me Queen Bee, and baby I'll rule. Let me live that fantasy.